Hello and welcome to another beautiful night of Mahjong with the American Ricci Mahjong League. I am Tucker and I am joined tonight by Nathaniel. How you doing, Nathaniel?
Doing really well. Super excited to see some A2 action and later an A1 table playing tonight.
And this will be an especially fun table to watch as it's the final table to play in session two in A2. So we'll have a pretty good snapshot of the standings once this is done. None of that trying to compare the players to people who haven't played all their games yet.
Right, and right now I in a very good position in fifth place overall in the promotion zone. Still a little bit of a gap to catch up to Beach and John and Will, who have just gone out way ahead of the pack here. Aaron, not too far behind though, plus 33.6 is approximately 4 points behind I. And then we have Leon Dustin, all sitting around 0 points, slightly above or slightly below, in a kind of comfortable position early on in this season.
Yeah, I find both Aaron and I's stats incredibly intriguing. Because they're sitting at this plus 37.1 with three firsts. And then Aaron has zero firsts and zero lasts. So two kind of completely different things going on. But here we go.
Leon starting us off in the dealer seat, Aaron to the right, Dustin across the table, and I on the left, opening up the high pie. Leon looking like it's got a few pairs here. Could shift into Tanya, but now we've got an ideal Dora draw, and so that means we're going to be moving towards a Ricci Dora to the right. Aaron with okay shapes, no Dora just yet, but an accepting 5 mon, and a nice Kanchan fill there. Actually, this is 2 away from Tempai already with good floaters. Across the way, Dustin has Tanya type shapes. We'll probably be opening up, perhaps if the 6-0 were to come out. If not, you could just call for, stay closed for Ricci Pinfu. And then on the left, I also Tanya shapes, and this has 3 door in it. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, Ishan 10, but with no pair.
Okay, so that means we're probably... That's a nice connector. Now we are Ishan 10, and absolutely hoping that Dustin drops something useful. These players are blazing fast with their discards in the early going here. Apparently they're just excited to play as we are to watch.
And Leon has been Ishan 10 for a moment here. If they're able to fill in that Ryoncon shape, we'll end up with Pinfu as well as the Richidora.
And Aaron has a very interesting shape in the Sozu there. Could end up on a weird Shabo, I guess, in the future. But there's also other draws into Tepai.
Leon's shape just then, the 2446, when you're Ishan 10, do you tend to prefer the Ryoncon or the Kanchan with the pair?
If I have the ability to open and I want to open, sometimes I would prefer the Kanchan with a pair because then I could pull. But in this case, I think I just like the Diancon because if I fill either gap, I have Pinghu.
And there's another chance to make that decision.
Okay.
And this time takes it.
Yeah, this final way is going to be a little bit interesting to see if Leon chooses the Shabo or this Kanchan with a preemptive Sudi trap. And will players suspect it with the 2-so being cut later? It's an interesting question why the 2-so is even in your hand after you've dropped 1-so, 4-so, and then 6-so.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be able to visually see an entire Ryoncon being cut, which, how would that end up in the hand other than this exact situation?
Right, and we do see
Ooh,
I
there's
draw
Tempai.
Tempai not willing to reach this because it's already a Mongon. I know Dora 3. 3-6 pin is the weight, and 4 are visible to eye here. There are 4 tiles left in hand. They're all being held.
Could have changed the weight there, but decided not to keep Tanyao.
Yeah, I think that makes sense here. The sort of weird Entotsu shape, 3 mon, 6 mon, 8 pin feels a little bit worse.
Especially since 6 mon is Dora, and you expect people to hold on to their copies of that. Oh, now we're gonna have the chase though.
Yep, and Leon gets step by 2, but would have to drop the 6 pin right into I. This would be the, oh no! It's gonna be Hanuman minimum. Richi, Patsu, Tanyao, Dora 3. No
No
Uda.
Ura.
And I was just waiting for someone to do something. Dustin, if you're willing to take the Ricci, then I'll chase you down and show you that I've got the real value here. And it's just tragic for Leon that he managed to get Tenpai too, because as dealer, you kind of want to fight, and you've got a Dora. It's worth it. Yeah, Ricci, Tanya, Dora. His dealer is pretty strong, but little did you know that there was a monster.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the Sumigiri Ricci, a lot of times the Sumigiri Ricci is because someone had a bad weight that they were just damaing until that point. So chasing I probably not as big of a deal in their mind as chasing Dustin was. We already have Tenpai though.
That's across the way. I with Sha Chanta.
That's just a silly
Khan.
hand.
Let's go. You already open? Let's do it.
Really thinking about it.
Moving from 8 to 16 Fu. It's worth it. It actually increases the value. Dustin's not afraid to con. Draws a Dora.
Can't use it though.
I
it wasn't Tenpai. So not taking the con ends up being a good move, as that 2-mon would have been shifted. Probably might still get it.
Right, there's a decent world where you win, especially if I guess Dustin wouldn't have drawn that Dora. But in the end, it is another win for I, who is up to 45,000 points and the only player over 30k. Dustin now the dealer in East 3.
Has some pretty...
Yeah, looking around the table, I wonder where the Haku is.
Okay shapes, but just too... they gotta be somewhere.
I see Aaron's got one. And
the Hatsu in hands, yeah. Only 4 of them. But the shapes aren't really good enough to make you completely abandon Chitoy yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because the Huts came out from Leon, and wow, good no call, because that kept you on the line to draw another Dora. So to actually Chitoy Ishanten with Dora too.
And the North or the 9-so would both be absolutely incredible weights here.
Yeah, I almost... If I get the chance
what do you do now?
Ooh, yeah, it chooses to give away the 9-so and hold for an open hand now. And knowing Aaron, this is going to somehow end up with an open hand on a Tonki, a random Tonki. I don't know how it's going to get there, but I've played enough games against him that it just always happens. It's always in this type of way where he's just like maneuvering a hand and it looks like one thing and it becomes something else later on. And then all of a sudden he just saw it like Suanko Tonki.
I doing a very good job of keeping this Ishanten open for the 2-3-4 Sanshoku, trying to add a little bit of value to the Pinfu hand that they are building up.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's an opportunity to hold the 5-pin for just like this perfect Ishanten, but I values the chance at Sanshoku even more than the slight efficiency bump.
And now we have the open from Aaron, who could get Toy alongside the Haku Dora, or Hatsu Dora 3 rather. Dora 2. Jesus, I can count. No Toy, but is waiting now on the White Dragon and the 5-so.
Yeah, White Dragon's still in the wall. 1 5-so in the wall as well, so reasonable number of outs. I don't know if anybody's willing to push the White Dragon at this point, especially after the 1-so gets called.
I has had this shape since turn 3, I would like to point out. I mean, we're approaching 12 discards without a single change from I.
Dustin opens up, desperately trying to find Tenpai before the end of the hand. Only 13 draws remain, and Leon has like a really exciting shape across the way. Could be Sananko, but not going to be able to draw the 6-pin that Dustin is.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dustin has to con that.
That's gonna
yeah.
Yako High Door 2, 3 to 40 is a reasonable amount of points for Aaron there. And this time the con not so helpful.
Well, the con didn't help Dustin either time, and Dustin was the one who made it both times.
As a certain Q would say, it's a Rinshan by proxy.
Is there a Yaku for that, like Tsubame Gaishi?
Maybe we could make it a local Yaku. Now the dealer. Still in the commanding lead here. West's Dora, none in hand. All sorts of Kanchan shapes in the Pinzu, but some diamond shapes elsewhere. Could just play standard here and aim for a Richi Pinfu. To the right, we've got reasonable shapes for Leon, especially in the Manzu. Looking good there. Only 2 away from Tempai. But probably no more than Richi Nomi or Richi Pinfu. Across the way, Aaron has a lot of Mon tiles, but a decent enough shape in the Sozu that it's probably not going to be something like a Shinsu Force yet. You can start to work that way by cutting the 8 So and then a 5 So, and if you continue to draw Mon tiles, you might end up in Shinitsu or Honitsu with that Dora Sha in hand. And then on the left, Dustin with what looks to be a Chanta type hand. Sorry, Junchan, because we've cut all the honors, including the Dora. Maybe 789 Sancho is possible as well.
Ishanten for Leon on the right, keeping the floating 4 So.
Yeah, Leon wants to turn this into Pinfu somehow, and he's envisioning drawing a 5 So and having double Samenchan in 2 different suits. And there it is.
There it is.
Now we could even get Tanya, a good 1-pin cut. This is an incredible hand for Leon. That tile kind of helps, but not really. I think it's fine to throw it back, and Aaron's actually opening here.
With 3 2-pin cut, I feel like I would have preferred the 4 So making kind of a super perfect Ishanten rather than the 1-pin, which doesn't really add anything for us.
Right.
I guess it's safe.
I think that's just the thing Leon's thinking. At this point in the hand, my shapes are pretty much set. I mean, sure, I lose out on the 3-pin draw and the 4 So draw, but those are very few draws compared to the 369 and the 1 in the Sozu and the 147 in the Manzu. So I just want to hold the safer 1-pin in case I need to continue pushing against a reach. Dustin has managed to open up for the Junchan Ishanten now. Dian Shanten. Looks like we're still missing all of the 7s. And our dealer still slowly maneuvering the hand. 2 away from Tempai here.
That helps.
Huge fill. Now it went from a very sad 2 away to a perfect Ishanten with that 1 draw.
And as a lot of Chanta-esque hands seem to do, Dustin's hand just frozen.
And seeing that 7 Mon get pulled is like a death sentence to this hand, except for the fact that there still is Changkan, and we saw Changkan the other day. Perhaps we'll see another one tonight.
One of my favorite tropes in the learning of Mahjong is watching someone get Chan-Kan for the first time. I feel like anybody who's played for a certain amount of time has had that experience where you learn of the existence of Chan-Kan by making an added con and then getting hit for it. And now we have the 3-sided wait for Leon finally waiting 147 Mon.
Oh, this is the worst one to get because the 7-pin is pulled and the 1 Mon has been cut a couple times. Not that many tiles left
only
in the wall.
2 tiles or 1 tile left in the wall.
Wow. 5 draws remain. I has found Keishiki Tenpai. No Yaku here, but if you could just make it to the end safely, you can pick up some points and retain your dealership. Oh, Dustin got the last 7 Mon, but he already gave up on the hand. Oh, that's a high take.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize
I was about to
draw.
say I just missed the Hote Roan on the 9-pin by 1 tile, and then she drew the other side. Or they drew the other side, and it's going to be no Ryukyoku. Sorry, everybody. And I picks up the 1,000 points.
Boom.
Haite only is also such a beautiful thing to see.
We have a very interesting Yakuhai-filled hand here. I with double tone, should that come out. And Dustin has one of those on the left to discard, except for the fact that he might be building into Honitsu. On the right, Leon has Honitsu and the Pinzu possible.
Mochi Mochi on the Haku.
Mm. And it's going to be an interesting question whether he goes for it, because he's got a good Mon shape here that only gets better. At least you can hedge Toy Toy by holding the pair of 5 Mon. And if you're really, greedy and try to hold all of your value options open, you could even cut the 6 Mon there and say, if I draw around this 8 pin, say, a 6 pin or another 8 pin, then maybe I cut away from the Monzu, go for Honitsu. And otherwise, I've still got my Toy Toy option open. But this is just the more efficient route.
And Dustin actually is hard going for Honitsu now on the left. Is cutting away from the 1-so pair.
Okay, that means that it's going to be a while for this East to come out. And also that the Haku will never leave the hand.
3 Peen, Tempai for Leon.
Only one left in the wall, otherwise that would be a great... Wait, you'd expect Dustin to drop it if it's drawn? And the question for Leon here is, can you draw into Toy Toy Tempai?
The East is getting awfully close to coming out of Dustin's hand as other shapes start to fill.
Yeah, Dustin will probably drop the East over the North unless he senses something. And there's the 3 pin. Leaves Aaron's hand as he finds Tempai for potential Itsu, but the 1-Han hand will shut it down.
And it was the best weight for Itsu as well, the 147.
Yeah, Richi Pinshu at minimum with Takame Itsu for Mangan was an insane hand for Aaron, just cut short by the efficient play by Leon, who
talking about insane hands.
Opens up to 3 Dora. Okay. Oh my goodness, what Sanako Ishanten? And this is discard 2. There's chances for more here. Ooh, the 3-so might look like a good weight. I wonder if Leon switches. Like, normally you cut the Penchon over the Conchon, but since you're holding all the 4-so, still decides to go with a 1-so discard. And perhaps that's not just because it's a Penchon, but also because the 1-so has already been once cut, and Leon wants Suanko.
Yeah, the 9-mon and 8-so. Well, there's one 9-mon. Not taking it. I was about to say that the 9-mon and 8-so haven't really appeared anywhere else around the table until that one.
I wonder if Aaron on the right, after opening with the Hatsu, is going to go for Honitsu here. It seems likely. Dustin, in the South round, calls the South Wind, and also has the Chun back up as well.
Probably will get it from I right here.
Yeah, there it is. Oh, and then immediately another one comes out. So it looks like Dustin could have a Chanta here or a Honitsu. And this is just Tempai now if you want it, but Dustin might want more. Yeah,
this is one of those where it's kind of interesting. Is there a way to keep your Tempai while still being able to pursue the higher valued option?
Yeah, I mean, cutting the North there limits you, because if you pull in 7, the last 7 mon, you want to be Tempai. I guess you're probably not going to pull in the last 7 mon, so you might not consider that, but you'd love to draw the last North into Tempai. Speaking of Tempai, this Chi would give Tempai for I, or Tanya only.
Chi!
And there was a couple of people who could have been thinking about that, because Leon also could have pawned it.
You're right. I suspect
obviously did not.
The hesitation was probably on Leon's side. And Dustin had an opportunity to retake the Tempai. I wonder if that was actually a good idea after I has opened twice. But still going for the value here. Just sort of
would have been no benefit in that pawn for I. All the 9-mon gone now for Leon.
Oh, Ishanten for Aaron for the Honitsu. And there's one honor overflow, so Dustin has to think about whether or not this 7-pin can be pushed. Actually decides to hold it. If you don't think it's Tempai yet, you kind of want to get rid of it sooner rather than later, but Aaron will find Tempai. Now there's pin overflow, and Dustin draws Tempai just then on the North. Puts out the 7-pin, though. It does pass safely, but this 8 will not.
Don't.
These hands have been fast and exciting.
Yeah, it's also the speed at which these players are going. There's not a lot of hesitation in these decisions. I mean, the longest pause we saw in that hand was a very important decision for Leon, whether or not to pull in the 8-so. And it was a difficult choice that ended up being passed, but everyone, unless there's a really, really tricky decision, just going so fast here.
Boom.
Oh, we're gonna see dueling Honitsus now. Maybe even a Chinitsu for Dustin. Of course, because Dustin is the player on the right, he's got a slight advantage, because Aaron will discard the So tiles into his hand, and not the other way around. Are there any other hands besides these two that look exciting to you?
Chi.
Well, Leon's on the left, yeah, and Leon has now opened, is going 789 Sanshoku, or just Chun, according to how things end up there.
Yeah, that's fair. Especially with two players opening,
Boom.
you've probably got to match that speed, otherwise you're just not going to win.
Dustin is 2 away, as is Aaron.
Ooh, that's a
Gee.
Mon tile. That's an insta call. You had a couple choices there. You could go 2-3-4, 3-4-5. But Aaron likes locking in the pair and using the 3 Mon and the 8 Mon as floating tiles. It's like a Kutsuki Shantem.
I'm not a huge fan of the 4-mon cut because you then have to cut the 6-mon. So if Aaron takes it, you're then going to have to discard a middle tile into a 3-call Honitsu by dealer, which here works out, but
Boom.
in a lot of cases,
Here we go.
will
Here's the
be really
random Taki
dangerous.
that Aaron is famous
man.
for.
So we got the 3-so-8 for Dustin for the Chinitsu.
Not surprised to see Dustin on the Chinitsu. On the 3-so rather.
Oh, taking the hell weight, discards the 8-mon.
Because Aaron's on a Tonki, he knows that no one's going to drop Monzu here except for Dustin. And that's the Dora indicator. It's also twice out. So it was like Hellweight versus Hellweight. The Haku is much better as a Hellweight.
Dustin was doing some calculus, I think, to figure out the weights on that hand. I see 5-so, 7-so. Or no, the 7-so is just lit up for Leon.
Yeah, it's just the 5 here.
Oh, it just switched which Kanchan it was.
Amazing Dustin. Maybe he realizes the rest of the table knows he likes Sanzo, and so he switched off of it.
It's the reverse Sanzo cult.
But
Oh, there's the Haku! Oh, there's a lot of thought going into it.
Leon knows it's not good against either Honitsu, but says it's twice out. No way someone's waiting on this. And it turns out Aaron would be that guy. Aaron would wait on it.
Honitsu Nomi.
Yeah, for 29 does, or was it 29? Yeah, does pick up the continuance, adds a Homba, and now chasing down I with another dealer round. Dora's the tune. There's one in hand. My vision for this hand is either Itsu in the Sozu or 3-4-5 Sanchoku. We'll see which one happens.
Well, I was thinking that if you draw, say, 2-peen, like, you could end up headed towards Junchan with this hand, according to how you got there. Because 2-peen, you maybe throw away 4-mon, but with the pairing up the 4-mon, that's obviously not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Junchan or Chanta. Chanta, I guess, is a good way to go when you've got the door and you want to force it in the hand somehow. So that's definitely a good consideration. And
You do
Dustin,
have 3 people already just kind of chilling with the isolated Dora.
yeah, I was just gonna say Dustin has a route to use it too. You just call the Akuhai and Dora Tonki in the future. And does I have a route to using it? It looks a little bit more difficult with this hand, but there wasn't like if you open 2-3-4 Sanshoku and Tonki, the problem is you just have too many pairs to likely end up on a Chun Tonki. So I probably find it very difficult to use the Dora in this hand. And the one player who doesn't have a Dora is the player with Ishanten for Richi Pinfu. Maybe Tanya, classic hand for Leon on the left.
It's almost like isolated Dora Yakuhai slows down your hand.
Oh, it feels like that, huh?
Although Aaron is also Ishanten.
Yeah, we'll see if Aaron can, or chooses to drop the Dora. I imagine, you know, as dealer, you just take your Richi, especially if you get the Pinfu side.
Dustin strengthening the 5-6-7 Sanchoku route there, discarding the 3-peen from the Ryoncon to keep the 5-5-7 shape, and actually now discarding the pin entirely may end up forcing Honitsu out of this.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, drew the Diamond Weight, the upper Monzu, pulling in the 8-mon to connect to the 7, but I guess you could just keep dropping all the other suits. You might end up getting there. Like that one mon is an excuse to go Honitsu. It doesn't help that much, but if you draw another mon connector, you just go for it. And here chooses not to though.
Now we have a lot of Ishantins here. Aaron actually had an opportunity to consider doing a sort of move towards Tanyao, drawing the 6-so, but ended up just tossing it back. Didn't want to discard the 9-so from hand, and then immediately drew the 6-mon the next turn. So would have had the Tanyao Tenpai, or not Tanyao Tenpai, the Tanyao Ishantin at that point.
Yeah, speaking of Tenpai, Dustin had it and chose not to drop the Dora. Is planning to Dora Taki. And then I drew the Haku. Is like, where are the Haku? Where are the Chun? I don't see any of these dragons. I'm out. And just dropped the 5-mon, playing Genbutsu. Very good defensive play from the lead from I. And opens up out of desperation because nothing's coming, waiting until just the 4-mon for Tanyao. And Aaron also fighting for K10 here. Again, not willing to drop the Chun. That was another Tenpai that was declined.
Well, I's actually paired up the Chun now.
I wonder if you can back your way into a Tenpai now. The problem is this Haku you folded on. So is pairing up the Chun really going to encourage you to go for it again?
And you're far enough with Tenpai with only 2 draws left that... And there's another dangerous tile.
Yeah, just find your safest tile and get out of here. Oh, Leon has to push the Haku and says, nope, not going to. And so, as we approach Ryukyoku, no one's Tenpai. Aaron has one more chance. Needs a 4-mon, 5-mon. Chun. And no one's gonna get there. The Dragon Dora kills all of the hands.
And that's interesting because for I and Aaron, that's actually a perfectly fine result. Like, you don't mind this moving on to South 3 with nobody Tenpai, just adding a Honba. So it didn't really hurt either of them all that much. I mean, even still, Aaron is a Mangan Sumo away from first. So, whatever. But for Leon and Dustin, who is keeping that Dora for value purposes, perhaps if he had been willing to get rid of it earlier, could have then gotten the Haku at a later point and been able to reach Tenpai. But he didn't.
I suspect the Haku comes out much more easily if the Dora are visible. And yeah, usually as dealer, you have to pay something to get your dealership to pass. But in this case, it was free for Aaron. Dustin, though, as dealer, with a very exciting hand here. 2 Dora and Tanyao shapes. Could be extremely expensive to the rest of the table. With reasonable shapes as well. Nice Samachan on the Sozu. And that's just 2 away from Tenpai. Across the way, Leon with a Richi, most likely, with that Anko of 9-mon. Not going to be Pinfu. Probably not.
You mean Richi Ura 3, I presume.
Ah, right. The Ura is where the value is in this hand.
The last 8-mon on the wall is in the dead wall right there, I'm sure.
Yeah, this is Headless Ishanten, so just holding all the best pair candidates. And then Aaron has the ability to call the Hatsu. That is yet to be seen. Ooh. Now we have Sanchoku chance. We could get Sanchoku and Pinfu. Now there's some value here.
Aaron taking the very pwnable Ishanten there.
Yeah, so many pairs you almost have to pull it into Tenpai. Oh, speaking of pairs, I has drawn a few. Oh, here it is. Drop the 9-mon Richi, Pinfu, potential Sanchoku on the 4-mon. And I will point out, once again, that is a 2-3-4 Sanchoku. I don't know, Tucker, if you've seen any of the recent broadcasts, but every single Sanchoku has been 2-3-4. Outside of the Doko.
I wonder if there's anything about like the where in the suit They lie. Oh, just gonna get the 4-pin sumo there, huh?
I didn't even notice that I pushed into Tempai there. I was so blown away by the 2-3-4 Sanchoku again. And I will actually just steal a hand away.
Now, luckily for Aaron, I is the final dealer, so a Mongon Sumo is still enough.
Absolutely. Even though the gap is over 10,000 points, dealer has to pay extra Oyakaburi
Boom.
penalty. Aaron, though, doesn't look like this is going to be a Mongon unless, yeah, the door are all held. So just going to aim for a second place and grab a couple thousand more points before the game can end. So the question for I then is, can you figure out a way to get over 60,000? Maybe there's a Ricci on the way here.
It's actually incredible how this hand is kind of this round, I mean, has mimicked the entire rest of the season so far for Aaron and I. Aaron with a solid second, and I with yet another first.
That is funny. And I shut down here. Picking which Kanchan +1 to keep. Kan. And I'm looking around at the other hands. Dustin just drew into Tempai for Itsu Dora 1. Waiting on the 5-pin, not wanting to take this Ricci.
So you have
Yeesh.
Itsu for 2. You have 1 Dora. You would need to sumo Ura 2 to get above 30k.
Yes, Ricci, Tsumo, Itsu. Actually, you don't even need Ura 2. Ricci, Tsumo, Itsu, Dora. Just need 1 Ura. Or Ipatsu.
Right. Ricci's an important thing to count when you're thinking about your Han, huh?
Now, Dustin waited 1 turn, hoping to pull time the Ipatsu correctly. Did miss out.
Well, if you pull a 5-pin, do you even sumo that? Or do you call Ricci on, say, like some sort of 3-sided weight to add pin food to the mix to make your chances of Hanuman higher?
Yeah, you definitely... That's interesting. You might sumo for Mongon just because you don't want Leon to catch you, and your weight is kind of, it's Furi Tenrichi, so you have to draw it. You might do something like 9-pin Ricci in that instance, but in this case, no harm, no foul. Took the Ricci 1 turn later. Can win on the 5-pin, which, by the way, there are 3 in the wall. It's actually kind of insane this late in the round that there are that many available.
I mean, there's only 18 draws left. It would seem like about half of the wall at this point should be 5-pins.
Everyone playing defensively around this.
Actually, like 11% of the wall.
Leon wants to fight for this, but I was thinking about cheating 2-3-4 for Sanchoku. Actually, don't hate that.
I mean, because you have Dora 2. If you're able to sumo Sanchoku Dora 2, you'd get the Ricci stick, and that would be enough to get you past Dustin.
Oh, there it
There's
is.
the 5.
And now we check Una. This could be enough. It is!
It's 1!
Wow! Dustin getting there with the Itsu and the Uratsumo.
And it's the 1-pin.
1-pin double door in this hand. Dustin will get over 30,000, and that especially hurts Leon, who now has to pay an extra 5 points. Dustin, it shows up as red, but 0.0 is +0 for Dustin with a 3rd place at exactly 30,000. So Dustin wins the Saki Award for this game. Aaron gets a nice little 2nd place, +11.11, and I, the +29.9, would have been more, but 6,000 points of Oyakaburi in the last hand. What an exciting finish.
I mean, it modeled the entire rest of that Hanchan. I mean, it seemed like every hand was something nuts.
Yeah, with these players, it's not surprising to see monster hands. There's definitely some dreamers.
There were only 10 of them?
Only 10 hands in this game. It felt like more. Maybe because, like, every round, multiple people had insane hands, so I'm, like, double counting them in my head. Oops, we don't want this screen up. We're already live. Looking at the ultimate standings, we can see I continue to climb as the update has come in. Very close to overtaking Beechen for the fourth place.
Well, and if things continue this way, we might start to see a bit more of a separation right around this cut line going up for A2 into A1.
Yeah, right now Aaron kind of filling that gap with Peter. But if I get another first place and Aaron takes a little bit of a hit, there will be a pretty distinctive gap there of about 50 points. It looks like they have started their final game, and it's going to start actually in a few seconds. So let's hop back as soon as we can. Now, if the first game was any indication, this is going to be another treat for us. Aaron will be the first dealer, Dustin on the right, I across the table this time, and Leon on our left.
Well, and these players all have such similar, like, basic stats. Like, all of their win rates are fairly, I mean, all of them are within a percent except for I, who's just a little bit lower. All of their deal-ins are relatively close, except for Leon, who's up at 16.5, but with a lower deal-in average. And Leon obviously had played very good defense in this round, so likely some luck contributing to that to some extent. And all of their participation rates not that far off, except with Aaron with slightly more participation, kind of as we'd expect based on what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big differences in these stats, I think, is just the Ricci rate. Dustin and Aaron with large, over 23% Ricci rates, and I and Leon with very low Ricci rates. Of course, we saw I with Adama win, and Leon likes to open up. So maybe that plays into it a little bit, but here we are in East 1. Dealer is Aaron. Dora is the East wind, and then hand for Aaron. Hand looks actually kind of messy until that Tuso is drawn. Now we're just Dianchanten technically, but if you treat the Mon shape as two separate blocks, two Conchons to fill, and I know Aaron's going to be looking to improve that.
Dustin likely could force another Honitsu here, has a single of the Dora East, the only one in anyone's hand at the moment, and two Yakuhai to call.
Yeah, I would say this isn't normally Honitsu, but if Dustin tries to force the East into the hand, as we will see it is there, well, now it's Honitsu Toy Dora 2.
Or 3, plus Yakuhai 2 or 3.
So that could be Baimon.
Well, I kind of pushing a Honitsu or Chinitsu as well.
Oh, this is going to get super exciting. Ishanten for Aaron for Ricci Pin Tanyao. Hon. Ishanten now.
Did you try to say that like Dustin? Because it kind of felt like it.
The 5 comes out and it's Senpai. Oh my goodness. So let's just count it up again. It's Honitsu, Toy, Yakuhai, Dora 2. That's already Baimon. You don't even need the last East. You could win on
And if you do win on the East, it would just get you to 10 Han, not 11. So I wonder, is it better to just take the 6-9 weight here? Well, no, you would lose Toy. Yeah. So you'd go down to Hanuman.
And Dustin was doing the math there. Like, I know he wanted to switch the 6-9, but said, all right, the value is here. Give me the Baimon. The East is still in the wall.
Yeah, not discarding that Haku. It's totally live right now. And there's an 8-so that doesn't fit into Aaron's hand, tossing the 8-pin instead.
Yeah, there's no way Aaron's tossing that 8-so. He knows what's going on his right, and that is going to be a monster.
I mean, the real move here is for Aaron to yeet the 4-mon. As dealer, dealing into that 1 Han hand would be so much better than taking Oyakabari on a Dustin Sumo.
Wow, that's even surprising that Chuso got pushed, but I guess you can read that it's reasonably safe with the 3-so being cut 3 times.
I mean, on a hand that looks like it could be Toy, I think that's silly.
Well, because you had all three twos, that's the only
Oh,
other.
you had them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would
Yeah,
have to
but-
be Tonki.
Right, exactly.
But if he has 3 Easts, because you don't see any of the Easts,
I just don't know if I'm
I
willing to
still
take
wouldn't
that
have cut it.
risk.
I'm a coward, yeah.
You and I both. We know the Coward Jong way, but it's different tempi for Leon. This time 3-6 pin, but I is holding all of those. East still in the wall. At this point, Dustin has revealed so many Suji. You're not believing in a diamond weight. There's a 3-pin, and this would be a blessing in disguise if Aaron could deal in here.
Dustin only has 1 draw left.
Unfortunately, Aaron's playing playing too good defense. The defense is too strong. Tempi not found, and so he will deal in instead of allowing Dustin to have 1 more draw. Honestly, smart move. You pay 1,000. You were gonna pay 1,000 anyway for being no 10.
Because, oh, you know what? Because if it was a high taste sumo on the East, that would have been a Sunbai.
It would have, yes,
because it
you're
would have
right.
been the 11th one. Oh God, we've got to check
We gotta check the log,
after.
absolutely.
I'm desperately curious.
Oh, you know Dustin was drooling about that last draw too. Please let it be the East. Show me the East. There were 2 left. It was honestly kind of likely that it would have been a sumo there.
I mean, what, a 2 out of 15 chance? Or 2 out of 14, because we can see one of the tiles as the Dora indicator. So a 1/7 chance of a Sanbaimon.
Which is honestly pretty strong, relatively speaking. Dustin not winning that Baimon or San Baimon, but we'll have the dealership here. Oh, so many penchants to throw away. I think probably the 8-9 Mon's gonna come out first because it overlaps with the 5-6 shape.
Toss the South Dora immediately upon entering the hand.
Now, you had your chance last round, Dora. You're not gonna come my way, then I'm not gonna hold you.
I'm not letting you whisper foul evils in my ear again.
Oh, actually, Dustin dropping the Sozu. I think there are some instances where you can drop in the other order, the 9 and then the 8, especially if you think that Tanya is in the horizon.
Yeah, if you draw 6, so you'd have had a nice little Ryoncon there, but could get 4, 5, 6 Sanshoku, as well as Tanya, according to how this hand develops.
Absolutely be ideal. Actually, that hand's pretty good. Ishanten now, with a Ryoncon to fill. And here we had that same question, do you like the 2-2-4 or the 2-4-6? And I did not hesitate to switch to the 2-4-6 here. Tempai, we'll take the Richi. Ooh, this is dirty Nakasuji.
Woof.
Richi Nomi. You wish you had that 8-mon back, though.
Yeah, that 6, 7, 8 Sanshoku would have been beautiful. And that's exactly what makes the Nakasuji trap so deadly. Because the 8-mon implies like some sort of possibility there. But we have a chase Richi from Aaron, who's going to be waiting on Ponsu 529, but it doesn't matter.
Just sumo. And an Ura found. Okay. That's why we held the 4 for the Ura.
When you know, I guess.
So I will pull up to 35,000 points. In the lead here with a Hatsu pair can open up for a quick, cheap hand. It looks like that will be the play. Dora is the East again, so who's gonna get the Baimon chance this time? Dustin has the East again.
I'm surprised he didn't immediately throw it.
Well, I mean, you give it a chance 1 round. The next chance, if it doesn't come your way, you throw it. Everything's even again. You can give it another chance. It had its timeout. And, wow, already tempai for Leon. Just a Tanyao. But when East is Dora, I have no problem trying to shut down the round. Dustin looks to be aiming for a Chanta or Junchan here. Probably Chanta using the Dora. And across the way, that hand's kind of shaping up. Ishanten now needing a couple pin tiles, 5-8 pin and the 3 pin. We're going to see a chi from I. This is now Tempai on the 4-so. 4-so 3 times held in the wall. 6 pin, 3 in the wall as well. So kind of even weights here. We'll see which one comes out first. Dustin can't use either tile. The 4-so technically completes a block, so I guess he could hold it temporarily, but he really wants the 1-so. Oh, you can switch the weight to a Tonki here, but Leon will retain the 6-pin weight. I'm looking for an excuse to upgrade this shape. There aren't that many tiles that will do so. The 2-so and the 6-so, namely. Now if you draw a Shabo, do you like it even? Imagine the 1-so will come out. There is only one left in the wall, as well as one 3-pin. Oh, this is going to be Tempai. Can wait on the 5-pin or the 3-pin. Chooses the 5-pin here. And with a Dama also. There's still some value upgrades here and weight upgrades as well for Aaron. You have 2 open hands. You don't want to just throw away a Ricci stick for nothing. You also don't know where the East is. And it's quite easy for the dealer, to be holding them. Even Doratanki.
Boom.
Or yeah, a Doratanki or a completely unconnected pair. That would be just as deadly.
Oh. Yeah, I sees the Dora, backs out. Not willing to let Dustin call that.
Well, that might not necessarily be a back out so much as a sidestep.
Well, yeah, it's going to be
Oh, well,
a
there we
Doratanki in
go.
the future,
Boom.
but there's the 6-pin deal in, and we'll keep things close. Moving into East 4.
Ooh, that was Sozu.
Quick question for you.
Yep.
Has an honor tile been Dora every single round so far?
Indeed it has. And we went east, south, east, and now green.
Or the White Dragon, Haku?
Oh, White Dragon. I don't know why I read backwards. I think I was still looking at Ai's hand. And I was holding the green dragon from the very start.
You know, one of the things that I do, not only in commentary, but also like just when I'm playing, is whatever tile I'm looking at becomes the Dora indicator. So like I'll see an 8 so that just got cut by Leon and say, oh, 9 so's Dora. Too bad he already dropped one. And then realize, wait a second, that's not how this works.
It's kind of easy to make that sort of like, I guess it's not quite like a Freudian slip, but it feels similar in essence.
It's like a programming issue, like segmentation
Yeet.
fault. I'm reading memory from the wrong place or something. But we're gonna see a
Aaron
Ricci here from Aaron.
Timpai waiting 7 mon, yeah.
It's not the best weight, but it's an early Ricci, and that can always cause problems. For the rest of the table, Ricci Tanya would be 2,600 minimum.
There's a little bit of hesitation on calling the Ricci, and I presume a part of that was trying to decide how likely it was to upgrade that weight.
Yeah, in this case, only really the 5-mon helps. And you can draw better floaters, but at that point you're just breaking your Tempai. And you don't really want to, you know, a lot of times you drop like the 8-mon and hold whatever other tile you had in your hand, but the 1-mon isn't that useful of a tile, so you don't even have a good block to upgrade off of. So it makes sense to just take the Ricci here.
Well, now we can see every single draw by every single player. They are struggling to find something safe to discard.
Yeah, where earlier in the previous game, it was very speedy discards. Now we finally have an early Ricci that is slowing everyone down considerably.
I mean, and this is going to be massive. Like, there were actually tiles to play defense off in that first row of discards from Aram. It's just no one's holding them. And the 3-pin is very useful to Leon, so doesn't want to toss it. And this time that's eating away from everyone is going to be massive once we get to the middle of the third row. Like, everybody has less than 10 full seconds at this point.
Yeah, and Aaron has not revealed much new information. If you look at those cuts, the 3-pin, then the South 9-so 9-so 1-pin tune is like it's Nagashimangan. Okay, finally some information. The 7-pin is safe. That gives the 7-pin for Leon, and Dustin now has Nakasuji 4-pin.
Yeah, is anybody really close here to actually combat this? I mean,
I would say but there's a door there, so no. Leon has been kind of hedging this. Actually, he's Ishanten here, but has to pass the 5-pin. And stops on the 5-pin as well. Looks at that tile, says, no. Okay, it's a Cheetoy route for Leon here. Two pin feels relatively safe as a discard. Well, safer than the 5 at least. Being one chance with the 3 pins. Uncle are now what we want to see here in Monzu especially. I think this hand's just over, especially with only 5 draws remaining. So it looks like we are headed to Ryukyoku. All the winning tiles have been drawn for Aaron. He'll pick up 2,000 points net. And the Suji trap came very late.
Well, now we're going into South 1, and 6,000 points separate last and first.
Yeah, no one jumping out in this game like we had in the previous. Aaron, this is an interesting little high-pie. Do you just force Honitsu? No, just holds the floating 4 pin and 7 pin. Drops the worst honor tile. And says, I will hedge my bets. Rewarded with a 3 pin draw. On the right, Dustin has a floating Dora and one good shape and a bunch of bad shapes. We'll probably just start cutting away from some of these bad shapes to try to force usage of the Dora. Across the way.
Bad shape's kind of a theme of the whole table.
I can at least open with a south. And you've got lots of Fu with the 9-mon held in your hand as potential Anko.
Leon had the option to open on the Hatsu, didn't take it.
Yeah, with the Richi stick and a Homba and the scoreline being so close, there might be some incentive to open up here, but I'm staying closed here. Hoping for a little bit. Maybe if the pawn came from the right or across the table, he would have taken it. But when it comes from the left, he just wants his draw.
Boom.
Now the second
there's
one,
the last one.
Yeah, comes out. Immediately taken there. Ooh. Aaron has the opportunity now to cut the pay pair and have Richi, Tanya, Pihu, and Peiko. Oh, now you have 5 pairs. You're just Chitoy Shunten if you want. No. Denied. Rejected. Get this Chitoy out of here.
Boom.
If there's a way you could have cut in order to maintain the Chitoy and your shapes, probably would have done that, but there's just no way to do that here, and so chose the hand that gives better calling options if you need to start opening up for Tanya.
Chi.
And it is taken.
Yeah, after the second player opened up, being Dustin, I think Aaron realizes that he's kind of running out of time here and just needs to win the hand, even though you're sacrificing all the value. Ooh, another Dora.
You have a pair of them.
There's still so many Kanchan there. Leon Chi's away at Kanchan, now waiting on the Pen 3-so. Only one of those left in the wall. But if there was a tile that you draw one of, it would be the Sanzo.
2-so, 5-so, the wait for Aaron here.
A relatively quiet hand. Ishunten now for Dustin. But the 4-so is going to be really hard to find. In fact, I would go so far as to say impossible to find.
Yeah, and there's nothing that would really make Aaron switch Tempais in such a way that the 4-so would come out.
Yeah, I can't think of a draw that would, even the 3-so, which is, I think, maybe the only physical way to do it. I guess the 5-mon draw. But yeah, none of those weights are better than this 2-5-so, which still has, what, 3 left in the wall? Okay, here's that decision again. Oh, that's a 5.
Ooh.
Boom.
So it will be 1,500 pickup plus Homba plus the Richi stick. But I was going to say, Dustin had the 4-6-8 Mon shape, drew the 8-mon, and chose the one that had the pair attached. So this is an interesting theme that we've seen. I choosing the Diancon, and Dustin choosing the pair plus 1, the pair plus Kanchan. Now, in that instance, Dustin was open and had the ability to call Pon, so that was maybe a justification to go that way. Yeah, very interesting. I'll have to keep an eye on it throughout the rest of this game. But Aaron opens up with the East here. just single tone, hoping for another Renchan. On the right, Dustin holding a Dora Chun. Awkward shapes in that hand. Again, could be another Dora Tanki situation, most likely. Across the way, I, with chance at Itsu in the Manzu, gonna probably break away from this 8-9 pin Penchon in the future. And on the left, Leon has a Dora as well. It's just 2 away from Tenpai, but that involves dropping the Dora, so we'll see if anyone wants to make that play.
Aaron draws Dora and drops the Pinchon.
You know, what we've seen is that no one wants to drop Honor Dora at this table. If given the opportunity, they'll force it into their hands somehow. Okay, out, finally. Leon says, okay, I've got a good enough Ishanten. It could be Richie. It could even be Pinshu.
Neither Aaron nor Dustin dissuaded, though. Aaron's going to actually make a more valuable Tenpai. Now it's going to be Dorotanki Honitsu.
Oh.
So East, Honitsu, 2 Dora. Can't quite get this to Hanuman.
Each.
Still, Mongon is huge, and Leon played this very well. Managed to get into a potential Tanya, but drew the 9-mon instead of the 6-mon, so it will just be Richie Pinfu. And unfortunately, a Chun draw is going to be death sentence for Leon here. However, there's only one left in the wall, so doesn't have to.
I'm really impressed that Aaron tossed the 5-so in the Apatsu round. I mean, I know that Chun's now more likely to come out since it's safe against Leon, but I still likely would have thrown it myself. Leon is going to eventually get the sumo for 700, 1300.
Yeah, well, that's just a value value consideration, I suppose. Aaron says, I've got dealer Mongon. He might as well have auto discard button on. The only reason he doesn't is because the timing is very consistent for the auto discard, so it's easy to tell that a player is on auto discard. And then what would you possibly be waiting on that it didn't matter what you drew? And a lot of times that's just a Dora. So it gives it the weight too easily.
That's a fair point. We haven't left this 6,000 disparity between last and first still. We're still there. Points have shifted a little bit. First has been brought down from 3,300 to 32,1. But it's still only 6K.
Yeah, Leon, with that sumo actually in second place here with a really good chance of stealing away first, but still only South 2. Lots of time to make changes. And Dustin, very exciting Toy chance here. Oh, but this is just Tenpai.
We'll probably still take the Toy if Tumon comes out again.
Oh, absolutely. This Kanchan weight isn't much better than a Tanki, and you can easily move your Tanki to something better. My Toy, the 5-mon. Yeah, it looks like Aaron was planning to Dora Tanki here. Could still be the plan if you cut 8-pin. Yeah, chooses that. Oh!
There it is.
All right, which weight do you want here? Chooses the 7. That's pretty normal, I think. Drawing a bunch of pairs. How many is that now? 1, 2, 3. Oh, dropped a 4th. So not willing to go for Chitoi here. Actually, it's very concerning that Dustin is dropping all these middle tiles and called twice. It's actually reasonably likely that he's Tenpai or going Honitsu. And I like, well, not only is the 2-so twice cut, but your hand does look like Honitsu, so I would want to wait on something other than Sozu here.
I almost said Shaw, oh, that's a better weight, and then realized it was Dustin's first discard.
Even as you were saying that sentence, I hadn't figured out that it was his discard. I'm like, it's 2 left. It's still pretty good. The first tile always gets you.
I think about 75% of my Furitin weights are Furitin weight on my first discard.
Leon with a kind of interesting decision here. Decides to push out the 4-pin, but still, this Dora floating in hand is awkward. Dustin can switch the weight to a Diamond, but chooses the Toy value.
Or could have, well, I guess 2 8-pin are already cut. Now could switch to a kind of bad 6, 8, 9 weight. I mean, you've already pawned the 9s. And as you said, Sozu kind of looks like the home of this weight. Although that very late 7-pin, well, 6-0 immediately comes out.
Yep, and it is the cheap side though, so not that expensive. And all that means is that the gap is now drawn even closer.
Narrowed it down to 4K. And
Okay.
a pair of the Dora Souths in I's hand, so could try and leap ahead with that.
You have to look at that hand.
There it is.
What is it gonna be? It's got so many honors. There were 8, 9 in a pair, so it could have been Kokshi if you wanted. I guess it has to be like a Chanta, or are you just committed to the Dora Atosuke?
I mean, appears that way. Tosses the 1-so. 8-mon, you could have made a good argument for 8-mon being a sort of a hedge bet there. Both would have come out eventually anyway.
Ooh, this is an interesting visual glitch here. If I hover over the tiles, we can see what they are. I actually kind of like this. This is like playing
Dustin.
Washizu.
Dustin is going to do everything he can to make this not Chitoy, I'm sure. Dustin hates Chitoy. So trying to make it Chitoy or Suanko at the moment, I think. I'm not 100% sure what the tiles are, but...
Should I refresh this, or do you want to keep it like this? This is funny.
So the tiles that we're missing right now are 3, 5, 5, 6, 7, 7, 9, north.
Yeah. 3, 5. So it's Nipeko. North is Ishanten.
With a 3, 5, 7 Ryoncon. North, 7, 7 Shenpon. Okay. I feel like I know where we're at. Oh, there it is.
Drop 7, and the 7's gonna come out. It's gonna deal in. Taki, is that Aaron? Yeah, that's Aaron. That was very funny. And why am I not surprised? I don't know how Aaron does it, but guaranteed if someone's waiting on a random Taki, it's Aaron. Ooh, what do you do with this hand?
Obviously taking a moment to think about it, does end up cutting a Yakuhai first. You could still go. I mean, you have 4 shapes in the Manzu. So, I mean, it seems pretty reasonable to go for some sort of flushy kind of hand here.
Yeah, you would be forgiven for dropping something like 2-pin or 8-so on the first cut. Certainly justifiable in this situation, but keeping all the options open and actually turning this into a normal hand. Could still be Itsu, though.
Are you saying Itsu's abnormal?
Let's see, what am I saying? I guess the though of that sentence is normal but cheap, though you could make it more expensive with a very normal Itsu.
I'm sorry for questioning your antecedents, although I liked that explanation.
No, you made me think. I think Itsu is, I'm going to consider it normal, but the value consideration was where that was coming in. Because it was like, Honitsu, Chinitsu, now that's some serious value. But it's so...
Your most efficient cut here, I feel like, is throwing away the Dora.
Unfortunately, that just ends up being the cut. It is Ishanten, though. And notably, Aaron has called a pawn of the Dora. Haku Uncle already set in hand, so he can play this however he wants. If the force so comes out, he will chi and be on a Taki.
This is the scariest type of hand, I think. When someone calls the Dora pawn, it's kind of obvious they're not going for some sort of flush. And there's maybe 1 or 2 Yakuhai you don't see on the table, and you're just kind of thinking to yourself, like, I know they wouldn't go Yaku-less.
You know they've got a Yaku pair or a Yaku Anko, but you don't know which one Yakuhai that is. You don't know which one it is, and you don't know if they had already.
And it just makes absolutely every tile in the hand dangerous.
I think you could have made an argument for Aaron to hold that Sha and disguise what your Yakuhai is a little bit longer. But I will get the Richi here. Richi Nomi waiting on 3-6-0. Oh, Aaron Kutsuki here. But if you draw around the 5-pin, you're dealing into the dealer Richi. And it's going to happen right here. Escapes with Richi. That's a pretty nice little win there.
The highest score for a first place yet this game.
That's right. He was what, 35 before? I know. Retaining the dealership here. Looks to be a Ricci Pinfu hand this time around. Oh, you could end up on a Shabo, but I'm anticipating that one of these
Gee.
pairs will be shifted out for a sequence later on. Leon opening up here. Gonna call the South, gonna call the Chun if it comes out. And probably not gonna be Honitsu either, so just Yakuhai. The door is the North. There's one across the way in Aaron's hand. That could be a Chitoi. And on the left, we have Dustin with a very standard Ricci only hand. I trust
Takes a second to think about it, but the door had just been cut by Aaron, so
yeah. And if it hadn't been cut, you have to ask, all right, is Leon Tempai or not? It doesn't look like he should be Tempai here, so you want to get rid of it sooner rather than later, because it's very difficult that it ends up having a home in your hand. Here's that option to cut away from a pair, and I takes it.
notably cutting the Tuso, which is safe to Leon rather than the 8-mon.
That's a very good catch. Oh, and there's the Yamen upgrade. So Osakigiri is 7. That will get called, actually. And this is Tempai waiting on 4-7. Would you pull the South if it comes out? And why is the answer yes?
I mean, if you pull in the South, I don't think you can wait on a Pinzu. Like, you've gotta, I don't think you'll ever win that way. So you pull in the South and hope that you draw a Yakuhai to wait on. Otherwise, you'll end up just sitting there and dealing into dealer whenever they reach Tempai.
Yeah, so South adds 2 Han because it's double South here. And it does give you that Honitsu chance.
You can't get to Hanuman though unless you hell wait on the final North.
We saw that pay out before for Aaron. I think it was also a pin Honitsu for that hand. Maybe Leon will draw North and make that play. All these pin tiles. So it's not going to look like pin Honitsu.
Yeah, not anymore. Although there also just won't be that many pin tiles to wait on, I
Here
suppose.
it is. Here's your
well,
chance.
there's the Dora. Does it? I mean, with everything being so close, I don't know that you can risk leaving Tempai into the third row here.
Can't. You need to get over 30,000 before your next dealership. Here's the South.
There's the no. Oh, we both started talking like the South was gonna get discarded.
I mean, that's what we were both looking for. Like, we're talking, but we're like, where's the South? Where's the South? It's in the wall somewhere. It gets drawn. Aaron will take the Ricci here. It is Ricci Nomi?
2-pin, 3-pin, 5-pin?
Yeah. It's a fun little shape.
Yeah, it's like a pin Tonki plus an Arianman.
Yeah. There's one like this in the stream last night, I believe, but in the upper side, 5, 8, and 7. Only 10 draws remain here. I just kind of backing away from this. Doesn't trust the lower Pinzu. How does this 6-pin feel? Not amazing. Well, if there was a world to go for the Honitsu, I guess this is it. Oh, here it is, waiting on 6-pin.
There's the South. And 5-on safe. Furitin, but...
Oh, 3-so looks bad. 6-pin's also bad. Yeet for the value. At least 6 is like half suited, I guess. But you're expecting the block to be in the lower side. Oh, it just gives up Tempai.
Respectable, but...
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like, if you deal here into Aaron, you're probably going to be in a very bad position in all last. So, at least maintains 3rd place. And opens up quickly on the Hatsudora is, once again, an honor, the South.
Yeah, this is actually still a pretty horrible position to be in. Because since you are a dealer, if the game ends, that's only bad news for you. So you really have to win at least one hand before you're able to escape without a last here.
Apparently, these players realize that holding on to Honor Door just kills your hand, so they all drop it.
It only took him 2 Hanchan to learn.
We've got Gianchin 10 for Leon here with even Honitsu chance if you compare up the Haku. And I really like this Forso cut for that reason. It leaves the most number of options open. On the right, what's over here?
Some wild Manzu.
I'm figuring out how to parse this. I would probably read that as a 6-8 Kanchan, 4-5-6, and a 3-4-4 shape, and just go for Tanyao.
But the 4-so, notably, is what was discarded, not the 9-so. Keeping the Ryankan intact.
Yeah, and for Aaron, there's a chance at first place here. What is the gap here? 300, 5,300, but there's already a Tempai for Dustin.
And there's 1,600 on the middle of the table as well.
Right. Dustin's got Itsu, Nomi, I guess. Itsu, Nomi.
Yeah.
Waiting on 3 mon. It's not like your weight can change, so he waits 1 turn and then hits the button. A Dustin
Classic Dustin.
Only 1 3 mon left in the wall, though, this time. And I had a pretty great hand, but what do you do against this Ricci?
Boom.
If it had been anybody else, I mean, with it being last place, even a sumo from even Mongon Sumo. Well, I guess I haven't. I'm not counting up all the.
And I has very little to defend with, so just fights.
Oh God, there it is.
And it's a direct hit right on first place. If there's 2 Uda, 1 Uda, is that still
there's
enough
none.
for the sticks?
It's still enough, and it's gonna be the only person above 30K because the 5,800.
That's insane.
Oh man,
Dustin stealing it away at the final hour, 22.6. I forgot about the Ricci because previously I said it was Itsunomi. Now the Ricci pulls the value up to be enough here, and directly getting from I, who by the way didn't really have much choice in the matter. It was a great Tempai. You had no tiles to defend with, so why not try to pass the 3? It's just as dangerous as passing any of the other tiles. It turns out that it deals in. We'll put I in 3rd place with negative 5.8. It's pretty respectable. Aaron, the very sad negative 0.3. 2nd place, but at least you're not losing very much there. And Leon takes the 4th place, was in perfectly fine position until Dustin won that hand, and that is the risk of being close 3rd. It's very easy to be passed up. But taking negative 16.5 for a 4th is better than many of my 3rd places.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've had at least 1 or 2 2nd places worse than that.
I guess it's entirely possible. Somebody has to work the table super hard, but you can get a negative 16.5 second. As is, this is a very tightly contested game all the way throughout. It really was anyone's to win when it came down to it at the end. And it turns out Dustin was the winner. Itsu was the hand of the game for Dustin. Pulled a 5-pin in the previous game in all last, I think. Yeah, it was all last in that game too for 12,000 points to get exactly 30,000. And this time,
I mean, Dustin has netted this probably netted him about 40 or so points. Like, because he was last.
Yeah, minus 15 to positive 15 is 30.
And then you won 5,800 on top of that, plus an extra 5 because you brought everyone else below. So yeah, you get 40 points off of this Gyakuten. You get about 30 points off of the last one because you went from 3rd, a negative 5 3rd. You got 12K and ended up at 0. So about 17 for that. So 60-ish points in all last across these 2 Hanchan for Dustin.
Both with Itsu hand is incredible. And that just goes to show, how important the Uma change here is. I mean, the placement change was a big part of it here, but even Dustin picking up 10 points on Uma alone is rather the floating Uma alone is pretty significant here. And so we'll check the results after this game. Dustin is going to be climbing here up to 10th place.
Yeah, just so you know, Dustin, I expect you to keep this flow going into next weekend. We are playing together at the PML team tournament, and I have high expectations now.
Good luck. Hopefully this flow does carry through.
Oh, we need to check East 1.
You're right. Where's
We
that
have to
Paimon?
see.
No spoilers. No spoilers. We're gonna find out together.
Yeah, if anybody spoils it in the chat, I'm sending you to timeout. I swear,
So
because I'm certain Dustin's already looked at it.
yeah, we need to set the scene again because it was very exciting. Which hand was this?
Apparently, Dustin did already spoil it, but I didn't realize it until Michael said something. So I think I'm gonna time out them both. Does that seem fair?
You both get 30 seconds of timeout.
Temporary bans on both of you. I can't believe this.
What do you recall?
I do still want
The
to see
hand
it.
was it a Ryukyoku?
It was East 1.
Oh, East
wasn't
one?
it?
No, no, it wasn't East one. I might be looking at the wrong game. I am looking at the wrong game. I was looking at the last one. Okay, okay. I've got the correct link now.
Yeah, it was East 1 for sure because Aaron dealt into Leon for 1 and 30.
Okay, let's look at this from Dustin's perspective. Oops, let's put this on so everyone can see. Okay, this hand look very innocuous. You've got, a Yaku high pair, a couple pairs, probably call and go, 1,000 points, except East is door, so maybe you treat that as a block in your hand. And then I've got a Jobman, so all your shapes are set, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks.
And then you get the South.
Okay,
so
that's
now Honitsu at least looks a little better.
But you still have this 5-6 shape. You don't guarantee that's going to be Honitsu unless you're treating the East as a block in your hand, which is fair to do here. Or you pair.
And there it is.
And now the commitment is made. You just draw nothing but Sozu. It's great.
Pom.
South comes out. Big
Pom.
Pony Shanten. And the 5 was huge.
Pom.
This is your Baimon Tenpai.
With 40 tiles left.
And then you draw this.
So if you do discard the Eiso, then you have Chun, South, Tudora, Honitsu. It's still a Hanuman. I mean, you have 7 tiles still out for a Hanuman versus 4 tiles out for a Baimon. Like that value judgment. You're only getting 4,000 more points. No? Yeah. 12k versus 16k?
Mm-hmm.
So you're only getting 4,000 more points, but you have half the weights. And your hand looks very dangerous. You have the 9-peen pawn on the right, you have the Haku across the way. The East could very easily be held. Like, this is a hard decision. I don't think this is a straight up and down, like, obviously you take the Baimon. Like, this is a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, so you almost have to Tsumo anyway because your hand looks very suspicious, right? It looks like it could be a Toy Toy or a Honitsu. And if it is either, no matter which one it is, no one's going to drop the East. If you do win on the East, you have to draw that yourself. Question is, will the 8 so come out? And this table, I don't know if they're defensive enough to. I suspect they're defensive enough to hold it.
We saw
Aaron
them do it
dodged
so many
well.
times.
And Leon, I don't know that much about Leon as a player, but I know Leon knows how to recognize value because I've dealt into enough of his expensive hands.
Well, and we watched him make those decisions in the previous Hanchan.
Exactly.
But so here, what you just said, I think, is a very good argument for discarding the 8. So you said, if you are going to get the Baimon here, or if you're going to win on the East, you have to draw it. So if you discard 8 so and do end up drawing the East, you can still switch back to the Baimon by discarding the 8 so again.
That's a good point.
You would be waiting on a 7 so, which is sandwiched between 2 palms.
Yeah. That's actually not that bad of a weight because before you're planning on a Shabo which has what, 4 tiles. The 7 Sotanki has 3 tiles. It's not much worse, and the value is there compared to the 6-9 weight versus the Shabo weight, 4 tiles versus 7 tiles. That's a little bit more significant. I think if you do a straight EV computation in terms of win rate times the expected the amount you win, it'll favor the Hanuman here.
Well, so now we need to look at what that last tile on the wall actually was.
Because things got really exciting. Leon had Tempai here. Aaron did draw the 8-so and refused to discard it. Also, Aaron made an interesting play here. She cut 2-so. If Dustin was on a Tonki, that could be dangerous, but Aaron says, all right, it's not a Shabo weight. I've got 3 of the 2-so. And also the 3-so has been cut 3 times, so it doesn't deal into 2-5 very often. If it is a 2-5, it seems like a misplay because the 2-5 she's cut it dead here. I guess you have the 5-so pulling already. So thought it was worthwhile to push the 2 and end up waiting Tonki on the 8-so, which was an amazing read. Meantime, all of these so tiles coming out. There would have been the Tsumo for Hanuman. Oh, I guess it wouldn't have been a Tsumo because the draws have shifted, so we can't actually judge that.
I mean, but you say the draws would have shifted, but they came out the 6-0 came out all around the table.
Too, so yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron dodging the deal in. And then chooses to prevent Dustin from drawing one more tile.
So now we need to look at the wall.
Oh, we have to see. 4-so. Oh, they were the East.
The East was the next one!
Dead. They were all dead. That's so sad. This was the only 8-so in the game. Draw on Aaron's. The one Aaron held. Incidentally, it's very funny. Aaron could choose to take Tempai here, dropping the 8-so. And correctly held it. Well, folks, there you have it. Hanuman better than Baimon confirmed. But this would have been an incredible moment if the Baimon actually came through. It was already such a ridiculous hand.
And like literally one tile away. But as we said at the time, with 2 Easts being gone, there was a 1/7 chance of Sanbaimon on that final draw. And we didn't even really talk about the final 8-so, but even there, that's still the Baimon on the last draw. So throw that in. 3 of the 14 unseen tiles favored Dustin. So I don't know if that 6-pin or was it the 3-pin, whichever one dealt in. Like, I'm really curious if that was legitimately purposeful. Like, if that was...
Because if Aaron wanted to bail, he could have easily just cut the 2-so again. That had already been confirmed safe. And any of these Mon tiles should be relatively safe to the board.
But you know what? 3-pin isn't even actually safe against Dustin. That could still easily be Toy Toy, double Yakuhai, double Dora, waiting on 3-pin.
Yeah.
The 3-pin's totally live.
I suspect that this is intentional, but we'd have to ask Aaron. I don't know if Aaron is here or not.
But like how do you know it doesn't deal into Dustin? Just because Dustin's been going for Honitsu so much in the past 2 Hanchan? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
3-pin would have been a perfectly fine weight.
It's Shonpai as well. So that's a very hard read. Now, there was very long hesitation on the 7-so cut originally from Dustin. So that might have encouraged the thinking towards Honitsu. Or at least towards a weight around the upper Sozu.
Especially once the 5-so immediately get pawned, because that means that the 7-so is connected to something other than the 5-so, theoretically. But not even necessarily, because a lot of times people will cut away from complex shapes to force the Yaku.
Right.
So in that case, you could see someone cutting the 7-so early to force a Toy Toy shape.
Exactly, because Dustin could have had right there 3-pin, 8-so, 8-so, and been thinking, all right, do I go for Toy Toy for the value, or do I go for this Diamond weight, which is better for just Yakuhai 2, and then decide to cut the 7-so for the Toy Toy waiting on the 3-pin. It could have happened that way, for sure. A very, very interesting decision. And now I really want to hear, more than ever, the thought for this. But yeah, this whole game was incredibly exciting. Very interesting decision points along the way for everybody.
And Aaron, I want to point this out once again. In sixth, with 0 firsts, 6 seconds, 2/3, 0 firsts, 0 lasts. The next person with 0 firsts is in 12th and also has over half seconds. And you don't get another person with 0 firsts until 19th or 20th. Like, how is this like steadiness being maintained?
Yeah, at the very least, if you're not getting firsts, you need to not be getting fourths. I remember a season I had in A1 where all of my first places got lost in the final rounds. I would get a second instead, and all my third places would get lost in the final round. I was getting fourths instead. That's not a very good rate to staying in your division or promoting. And Aaron has found sort of the alternate strat to promoting, which is just do enough. Don't be last, even if you're not first. And honestly, that will, if you're consistent in that you get a positive out of every series, there's a good chance that you promote out of A2. Typically, the last spot in A2 is around 70, 80, 90 points. And if you're picking up 10 to 20 points every series, you'll easily hit that mark.
Whew.
Okay, we are awaiting the start of the A1 game, which should be going live pretty soon. They have scheduled to start at the top of the hour, which is right now. Probably a little bit of delay for them to set everything up and get into the game. Perhaps we will take a quick break to allow for that to happen as well. So, a chance to refresh ourselves and come back with a single hanchan of A1 between. Let me take a quick look at the players here. It's Luce, Anthony, Matthew, and Shu. That's going to be really exciting to see how the final game of the series pans out. We'll be back in a few without one. See you then.
That'll be fine.
All right, we're back, and a little bit late. We have a new commentator with us. It's going to be Dustin, who just finished playing that exciting series in A2. Dustin, your Itsus were awesome in All Last.
Yeah, I have a tendency to go in all last, and that is a 6
Boom.
Honitsu hand on the left. I
That
have to
is
say.
basically your hand. It's the
Yeah.
Sozu, Honitsu, Toy Toy, Yakuhai, just not Dora this time.
Yeah, not Dora. I mean, it almost this one kind of like has to be Toy Toy unless you just draw a Sansa, which would be a little
Boom.
sad. But
I'm trying to find a
There you go.
Horoto, but the South is dead.
Well, and across the way, Zhu has the 678 Sanshoku as a possibility still. Is getting rid of that now that we have the two calls from Matthew.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like readjust. I have to like check the names.
New
Like,
names,
oh wait,
new
hold
people.
on.
Eat.
We're gonna have Arichi on the right. So that's Anthony, who's taking a Arichi Nomi, waiting on the 8 so that just came out from Matthew. Luce is our current dealer, has an 8 so in hand, sitting Ishanten. I don't know if it'll be pushed or not. Looks like it's going to be a bailout. Shu
What do
across-
you think about the 8 so as a weight?
It's odd.
it's like it
Boom.
could come out just because it's safe to that. Maybe half flush again. I guess that's what happened.
Right. I mean,
Also,
the idea
that-
is that you know that if someone's trying to defend against the half flush, at least that's one safe tile. But they could also,
c-
also just get held in hand. So
Yeah, maybe could have switched to the 4 so pay, but that would lose the Toy so. Yeah, probably not. I wouldn't do that.
it kind of reminds me of the idea that if a Honitsu is
Even with Sansa.
going for a hand in one suit, you could reach in another suit and they have to drop it. And similarly, since Matthew has already dropped the 8 so, it's a tile in the Honitsu suit that he can't use. So he's going to have to drop it if he draws it. And at the same time, it's one of the very few so tiles that the other two players can drop against the Honitsu. So if they're trying to push their hand, still they might play into as well. It's very aggressive though, because you're on a pretty bad weight against what looks to be a very expensive hand.
And it'll be interesting to see how this table handles Dora Yakuhai, as Anthony as dealer has 2 of them in hand. Now at the last table, we saw that people were willing to hold those single Yakuhai for the entire round and never let them go. We'll see if Matthew's the same way.
Oh, I have a feeling I know what the answer is. Would you force the Steeler hand to be a Chi Toy? It was 2 Shanten, but it's a lot of Ryanman.
Yeah, there's too many Ryanmen to keep the Chi Toy alive, which is actually again something that we saw. I feel like we saw everything in the last 2 Hanchan, so everything we see here is going to be reminiscent. Actually, some hesitation on that 3 so, perhaps thinking that a 3-4-5 is possible. Could have tossed maybe the 1 pin instead, but you're never going to really get to Tenpai and make that happen in a natural way, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess an alternate choice if you're trying to make Chitoy happen was cut the 6 pin and just have a Diankan there, but I think playing for standard shapes is better because you hope to call open anyway on the Hatsu if it comes out. And if you don't, the Hatsu will be the pair in your hand for a very nice little Richi door too.
Right. I was just being a little facetious because
We know, Dustin, how much you love going for Chitoy.
Oh, it almost happened. I should have set up the Suji trap for the Sanzo, and I would have just drawn the 2-1 pin back to back. But you never know.
The other hands are having some trouble here. I mean, we actually do have a Chitoy Ishanten for Zhu on the right, and that's also like 2 Shanten for Rion Peiko for twice pure double sequence. Although tossing the 8 mon, since it has been twice cut now. Very, very inefficient Chitoy tile.
Yeah, it makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense for Shu.
It's sad as Steeler, and there's like so many tiles available on the wall for Tenpai, but it's just not getting it.
Looking for 4-7 so, 6 so, or the Hatsu, and also 2-5. And wow, Shu gets Tenpai.
Not calling Ricci. We're towards the 3rd row, so the win rate for Chitoy is pretty low at this point, especially on
Boom.
3 mon. 3 mon doesn't feel especially good.
And I'm sure at this point, Shu is very concerned about the Dora, and if he draws a Dora, he could certainly just use it.
It's
Right.
interesting. I don't know if this is meaningful, but Anthony has Katagiri'd at every
Yeet.
opportunity so far, discarding from hand instead of discarding the tile that was drawn. Does now call Ricci 2-mon, 5-mon for Ricci Dora 2.
And loose also Tempai on the left for 1/4 pin. It's Haku only. Could shut down
Maybe
this
setting
monster.
a trap.
There's 2-mon.
But it's furry 10. Does he keep Tempai?
Against a dealer reach, we're concerned about Dora.
I
I think
mean-
I prefer playing safe. Yeah, Suji.
Yeah,
3-mon
so it's a
Suji. Which isn't safe, for the record. So
Right.
that's still a little bit of a push, but it's a more reasonable one than the 2-mon was.
It's
for
not
sure.
the worst in the world. Now you just push Nakasuji.
Loose still has a
It's
decent number
still
of weights
furry
in the wall.
Sumo. Actually, yeah.
Oh,
1-mon totally
Oh.
live.
But now,
you're drawn both sides.
so the dealer reach you can't. Oh, but
Boom.
you. Oh no. 77. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, this is not the start that Shu was looking for. I know this series has been a little bit rough. Has gotten the bad end of several games here, and not a good start to this one either. But still, at least it was East 2, plenty of time to make up the points later.
Well, I mean, obviously things have been going unfortunately for Shu because you have 3 firsts. There's only 3 people in the division with more firsts than you. A couple people who are tied you, but only 3 with more. And you're still only 1 up from the demotion line. Like, how does that happen? That's one of those things that you're kind of tearing your hair out about. Like,
Yeah, it was the last game that did it, but there's always opportunity. I'm very curious about Luce's hand on the left because that looks very much like a Cheetoy. It's just Ishanten already.
the shapes are so bad for anything else.
And it seems to have been enforced with a 6-0 cut. And so now we get to see how Luce plays Cheetoy. What tiles are kept in hand? The Shaw is discarded because it's twice cut, but the 2-pin, 8-pin are being held over these 6s and 5s. It's very
Boom.
standard to hold terminal tiles towards the terminal side.
I think an important thing to always keep in mind with Cheetoy is traps. Although when 6, 6, and 5 are 3 of your first 4 discard, the traps are going to be a little bit less effective because that the suspiciousness of your discards makes traps more likely from the perspective of other players. Shu actually kind of hedging a possible Chanta here.
Mm-hmm. Anything for a little extra value. Of course, Hatsudora one is decent. Oh, here we go.
That helps.
We really want to draw 9-mon, or well, 7-mon, or 7-so rather. But 9-mon will give you Tempai as well. I like this. You keep the Nobiton
Don't
shape,
mind it.
which is better for accepting a pair. I guess maybe the 9-pin is cut twice, so it's a little bit harder, but technically has more tiles. And you still leave the Chanta open. Oh, now it's even better.
Although you're fighting against a 258 weight from Matthew.
Oof. And not a lot of... Oh, wait, that's 2 Doras. That's 3,900. That's a reasonable...
Yeah, a lot of Yakuhai a lot of 1 Han plus 2 concealed Dora here so far. And there it is. Gonna take it from everybody.
And the Cheetoy hand stayed Ishanten forever.
As is expected.
All right, this is a good opportunity now for Shu to pull in some points. Hypai says, Richi no Mi. Or maybe even Richi Pinfu if you get a little lucky. The hand to the right looks like it's going to be Richi with Dora pair. But difficult to turn that into a callable hand. Across the way,
I mean,
loose maybe 789 Sancho or 678. Richi Pinfu is possible there. And on the left, Anthony has the East call if he wants it.
yeah. I mean, the
Ishanten
hand-
for Richie Dora 2 is
yeah,
pretty great
without
at turn
Ishanten.
3. Like, I
and
would...
Dora 3.
Oh,
There it is.
There it is!
Wait, a 6-pin 9-so. 3 tiles left in the wall, including 2 Dora. The Dora 3 you were alluding to, Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, it just Richi Patsusumo,
Gee.
a third Dora. Oh, can Ipatsu now?
Dora
but
3, Ura 3.
The 9-so could very easily, well, not at the moment, but it's going full Genbutsu, yeah. It's not really. It's pretty bad in Shanten.
Yeah, it's not what you're looking for as, your first dealer turn after a little hit. You want something positive here, and your high pie was a little slow, and there's an early reachy. Looks like you're probably just gonna have to fold out now.
Yeah. Although I guess if you were going to fold, like you could just do south south and not like completely break your hand, because like the pots was already broken. Although if they are waiting on south and they have it paired up, it is a lot of extra points. That does suck.
Yeah, south south seems like a very normal sort of wait and see approach.
Oof. The 4-so kind of a disappointing draw after discarding another 3-so. The South had already been confirmed safe against the Ricci, so I'm very curious as to why the 3-so was discarded from the 2-3 shape as opposed to the South. I mean, this is a little bit of kind of just pure defensive play, but as dealer, especially being down towards the end of the East round, it wouldn't be surprising to see a bit more Mawashi. Although the Dora Sumo,
Back-to-back 6 pins in the wall.
Drawn immediately by the dealer, yeah. No Ura. Avoiding a possible Baimon or Hanemon.
I love, Dustin, that I thought you were going to say avoiding the possible Hanemon, but no, your mind immediately went to Ura-san.
It's a possibility.
It is.
No
it
more
is. It's just not the
Ura-san.
first thing I think of. But for you, it was like, it's not possible Hanemon or Baimon. It's possible Baimon or, maybe Hanemon if you just get one.
I'm just thinking alphabetical order. It just makes sense.
in alphabetical order, the perfectly normal way to process information.
Alphabetically, all right. Well, Matthew, now the dealer. This is kind of interesting. You've got Hatsu, Pol. It's probably to the call and go. Nothing too fancy because you've got blocks everywhere. You really want to draw around this 5-pin Dora. Speaking of 5-pin Dora, on the right, Luce has a 5-pin surrounded by a bunch of other pin tiles. Not calling this 2-pin for a Chinitsu Force. They're just going to play
We're getting
standard for this
closer,
one.
though. That 3-pin helps a lot in heading towards some sort of flush. We only had 3 shapes in pin before that.
And now we got 4, and if we consider any of these honors as a Tanki, that's technically 5 shapes for Honitsu.
And as you said, the 4-pin coming into Matthew's hand, that's exactly what he wanted. And the Haku coming into Luce's hand, exactly what she wanted.
And now Anthony across the way with Tanyao type shapes, and Adora can open up if he wants to bail out of his hand with something cheap. On the left, Shrew with the Chun pair, and could be a call and go, but he wants more value out of this. Again, also wants to draw on this Dora 5.
We've got 2 incredible Ishantens here for Matthew and Luce.
It might be a case of trading into a deal-in.
Oh, you're right. Pulling into a discard of the winning tile.
Which would be, if Matthew gets a Tenpai, that'd be very natural for Luce to do, because pawning the Haku and discarding Hatsu would leave an incredible weight. Oh, we might see a pawn on the left, and there's Tenpai waiting 5-mon, 8-mon.
And this is one of those hands where you're not very happy to win just 1,000 points, but when you look at the hands you're shutting down by winning this 1,000 points, it makes it worth it.
Right.
5, 8, 5 left in the wall. Most of them are 5-mon. And Shu's a little bit fortunate that he can get away with dropping these pin tiles without fear. Now a call has been made, and backup call, so now Luce and Matthew both hit by, but there's the final 3-pin.
Well, not the deal-in, but the...
You know,
it was never going to deal in. Shifted to the dealer sumo payment.
Somewhat facetiously, Luce made a mistake there. Of having the auto roan button on. Should have conned the 3-pin into Rinshan Sumo 6-pin for Mongon. Just saying.
No, it's Rinshan. No, it's... You're thinking too small, Nathaniel. It's Hanemon. You're going to flip 3 Dora.
That's right.
And then you're going to Rinshan.
because the flip happens automatically on the con before the draw. All right, loose dealer now in South 1. It's been kind of speedy game here. Maybe it just feels that way because I've got all these awesome people in the booth with me. It is looking like a Richie Nomi here for loose. Kind of awkward shapes everywhere. Similarly on the right, Anthony's got a very slow hand. Wants to draw a Tuso connector to this Dora, and is instead drawing more Mon tiles. Lots of Conchon and Penchon shapes to fill. Across the way, Shu with a pretty reasonable hand. They got that 9-7 Conchon in the Monza that looks a little bit weak, but it's easy to turn that into something else. Maybe too many pairs right now as well, so we'll possibly see the 9-pin cut eventually. And then on the left, Matthew. Ooh, now that looks like a classic good hand. That's just Ishanten for Ricci, Pinfu, potential Dora, or Tanya.
Matthew's actually been Ishanten for quite a while, but drew more 4-pin that allowed the South to be discarded to make Pinfu and Tanya a reality there.
Oh, I see, yeah. Always something to pay attention to when you're building that Pinfu hand and you've got a pair that's, or, building a sequence-based hand, you've got a pair that doesn't quite work, or like a terminal pair. If you pair something else that gives you Tanya, you can swap it out.
Oh.
Ricci, Tanya, Pinfu waiting 4-mon, 7-mon.
Such a bad floating tile for loose to have. Especially keeping the 4 over the 7, so.
Yeah, got stuck in transition to a Horitsu, and now we'll have to probably just play this as a standard hand.
Which is probably why we see the 5-so being held. I mean, the 5-so was Genbutsu at this point.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I mean, it's gonna be bad, but like this is why you gotta like think about if you're gonna like force Onitsu, you gotta like keep those safer edge tiles.
Yeah, although the 7-so not that much better than the 4. It's better, but not by a whole lot.
I mean, there's like blockaders as well. Is that Tempai? I cannot.
It's not.
Like,
yeah.
Not
it's
quite.
like it's like tempting to just throw it out.
It's just a different Ishanten. Yeah, actually, this didn't change much. This changed the floating Rionman from being a 7-8 waiting on 6-9 to being 5-8.
Draw 3-mon, Con, Ricci, Ipatsu. What do you think?
That's not a bad way to play.
I say specifically 3-mon because it's Furriton, but it doesn't matter.
Shoot. Tempai now for Tanya. Sanshoku. Swapped from the 6-9 Mon weight to the 6-pin weight because 6-pin looks really bad here. And now he's going to have to make a real choice.
It would be a very dead Furriton weight if they switch.
Yeah, it's either to keep the 6-pin or bail completely. And
I mean, not a single pin tile has come out of Matthew's hand.
right, it really looks like the weight is over there. But in terms of the Monzu, the 4-7 Suji hasn't cleared. So, still dangerous.
It's actually one of only 2 Suji that haven't cleared out of Matthew's hand in the Monzu. There's not many.
Yeah, so what, 1-4 and 4-7?
Yep, that's it.
Ricci from Anthony managed to draw into Tempai here, redrawing the 6-pin. So it's Ricci Dora 2. It's not inexpensive.
This one red.
Oh, the 4-mon.
And Luz was just holding all the 7 pins. It's going to be Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao. No Ura, not terribly expensive, but that does drop Anthony along with the other 2 players below 30,000.
And going into South 2, that feels really meaningful right now.
Yeah, South 2, South 3, that's when I start to really pay attention to the overall placement.
Yeah, that helped Loose. Even though they had that very bad floating tile, they managed to get up to second by just being more disciplined and not greeting.
Yep, strong play. What hand stands
Which is
out to
what
you
we've
here?
come to expect. Across the way, Matthew has a very nice Ishanten here. It's always funky when you have an Anko of a guest win. So you end up with a lot of Fu. If you and it really stinks. I hate this situation where you look like you're one away from a Sanshoku, but you're really not. Like, it's impossible to accept a Tempai and also be close to Vasan Shoku. But then, as I was saying that, Luce actually gets to Tenpai first, waiting on Pei and 3-mon with no Dora.
Just to reach Shinomi, well, not necessarily. Can win on the pay for Yakuhai.
It's the greatest weight.
It is the obvious best weight in all of Mahjong.
The only thing that would make it better if it was a 3-so pay Shabo.
Then you could get all of
Gee.
the varied cultist all in one place.
Right.
And we do see the full commitment now to the Honitsu for Shu.
Yeah, 2-so was dropped, creating, it's like build your own Nakasuji.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you tell yourself to make yourself feel better, even though it's not actually how it works. Like, if I discard 2-so, the 5-so will be Nakasuji. But, like, really what that means.
Yeah, you're just swapping out one shape. You're just saying the 2-5-so is not going to deal in. Oh no, I feel it looks like I've lost my commentators, my co-commentators. That's okay. Rejoin in a second. I'm really curious if this Jinitsu is going to be able to pull it out. Still pay in the wall. The 3-mon's not going to be discarded anytime soon. Lots of pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But Matthew doesn't want Chitoi here. He's kind of bailing out. Although Chitoi is a good defensive path. If he really wanted to force it, he could have tried the 6-pin Nakasuji. Instead goes with the Genbutsu 8-mon, 8-mon. Anthony has been working around this weight for a while. Still pay unseen. I hear a voice.
Yeah!
All right, let's get you back in here. We're still waiting for something to come out. The pay now drawn by Shu.
It won't come out, but it doesn't matter. The pay will be drawn.
Final tile on the wall. Just have faith. And there's Tenpai for Anthony. Pushes out the 4-so. How does the 4-7 look? Kind of dead. But still one tile left. One final 7-mon. Sorry. Ooh, do we switch? Probably not.
Probably shouldn't.
Well, the 5-mon looks pretty safe. Like, I would switch not for... I mean, there's only 10 tiles left. You kind of assume you're not going to win anything at this point. Might as well just toss the 5-mon because it's Nakasuji. And then you can, just be safer as you continue along your path to Ryokoku.
If the 3-so came out from Shu after the Richi... Oh, it looks like it probably was before, wasn't it? Oh, there's a Chi, though. Yeah, probably before.
I mean, at this point in the third row, do you really trust yourself to remember
Right,
that?
That's a good advertisement to whenever Richi comes out, looking at everyone's discard and just marking in your head what it is.
Is it illegal to have a notepad next to you? Like, would it be... Illegal isn't the right word. Would it be unethical to have a notepad next to you and to physically write that down?
Personally, I would say yes, but that's just my own thoughts.
Well, we have Honroto on the right from Shu.
Yeah, that 6-pin cut is just going for it.
That's also unethical, might I add, from my personal ethics.
They didn't do the, I guess.
Why not 5-pin cut? If you cut 6-pin, why not cut 5-pin?
It would have looked a little bit suspicious.
I mean, it already looks suspicious. You cut 2-so and then 6-pin.
But it would look extra suspicious.
I don't know.
You're gonna pull 1-pin and discard 5-pin. Like, how's... You're not tricking anybody with that.
Oh, there's a
Haku.
But if you have a delay, it's like it was just a backfire. But if you do it right next to each other, then it's very extra suspicious.
So interestingly, I almost prefer keeping the 9-so here than something like the pay, except for the fact that the pay just hasn't come out, so they're probably in the wall. But like, if you could end up on a 9-so Shabo after calling a bunch of honor tiles and a mon tile, like 9-so 9-pin would be such an amazing weight.
I mean, I trust the rest of this table too much to think that would actually be better. Like, if you are at this table, you should be equally sussed out by a terminal or an honor. We do have a Ricci from lose, 1 pin, 4 pin. Whenever someone's hoarding all the terminals and honors, it usually means someone else has a fast hand, and this time it's lose. Actually, we have Matthew Ishantin across the way as well,
With 2 Dora.
and Anthony Ishantin.
Boom.
Holm.
So
Well, surely if you're gonna pawn, you have to drop the 7. So otherwise, you might as well
I mean,
try
you
to
might as
fold.
well.
There it is.
Boom.
Just justifies the push. Tempai
And
for
we have
Matthew.
Tempai.
Oh, Anthony.
Ugh.
Trust in Sanzo. Or,
There it is. And the Katagiri. Anthony has Katagiri'd at every single possible opportunity. I'm sorry if this is like giving people information. Maybe I shouldn't point that out. Maybe it's not meaningful enough. Maybe I'm just like telling people about Anthony's playstyle and I
it's
shouldn't.
definitely an observation you could make.
Yeah, but
but
then even if you know that information, that doesn't even tell you anything. When
It
you see,
doesn't.
when you're in game, you see the Katagiri. It's like, well, is Anthony just fooling me now, or is it an actual hand improvement? You actually just don't know.
It's interesting in bridge, and I promise not to say that to linger, but like in bridge, I always tell everyone I talk to about bridge, never think about psychology. There's no point. Because all you will ever do is talk yourself in circles around it. You'll convince yourself of something that's untrue, and you'll end up playing against the better play. Now in Mahjong, the psychological element is actually a legitimate part of the game, so it's harder to make that argument here. But at the same time, you are just gonna talk yourself into things. And now we have an Ishantin with kind of this extra 4-mon just lingering about, waiting to make any Payco so you can get rid of the 1-mon.
Yeah, but imagine
Not even
discarding the
Payco,
Dora.
It's Dora, yeah.
Imagine discarding the Dora Ricci
but-
on 1-mon.
Yeah, it would be pretty nice. Especially if Zeely just had to like take it, although like not getting a good hand. I guess
Gee.
considering like it's going for Tanya, although with the 7-8 pin, it's the possibility of a backfire there.
I mean, but the odds lean in your favor. There are 3 9-pins still out from your perspective, and 4 6-pins. So, you're sitting at a solid 4 out of 7 that you're not going to be killed by the Otazuke.
I guess, but having that 5-pin in your discards just means you're gonna regret it because that was like one way to save it.
That's true, because you could have discarded the 8-pin instead.
Yeah, that's a really interesting spot, and not a surprise that Shu spent a lot of time thinking about it. I think if it was passed, would have been in a perfectly reasonable position as well as if you opened it. So I'm not sure what the best decision was there, but this call is certainly a valid one because as dealer, 5,800 is excellent. And if you can pull in the 4-mon even or draw the 3rd, you're looking at 12,000 points.
Right, but who's just gonna let you pawn the 4-mon?
Someone who's Tempai.
Yeah, Anthony after he declares Ricci. Anthony Ishant then now, but might find it a little bit difficult to use the Chun. I wonder if he'll open up here and just take the headless if the opportunity presents itself. There's one more Chun in the wall.
That is something that, I mean, especially like Nathaniel and I are a bit more defensive in nature. Me probably more so than Nathaniel, but still, like the instinct is there. The idea of this tile will never come out, so I need to play as if it will never come out. But that's not exactly true because people will toss it when they are Tempai. Like something that I have heard people in the community say is like, that is a tile that you expect to come out sideways. Is a phrase that I've heard kind of a few times. And sometimes you count on that. You say, I'm waiting on this because if someone gets a Tempai, they're going to have to discard this tile and then I will win on it. And it's sort of like a bet that you're putting in for later. And we do see Shu here switching down to the 6-pin Kanchan by drawing
were very
the 2-pin.
lucky because they drew the 9-pin right after.
Yeah, that's a very nice shift that doesn't always get spotted. So I mean, I would expect it from a very strong A1 player like Shu, but Yeah, keep an eye out for that. It's a very, very nice shift on the lower end of that extended sequence.
But it's like if you're thinking about calling it the Tanya in the first place, maybe you should have just dropped the one mons.
Oh, nice
Anyway.
hold. And this gives Tempai on the 6-pin,
Oh,
but they're all being held.
That 6-pin. Yeah,
Loose,
gets drawn right next to the 7-pin. There's still one more though.
Loose might have to drop this.
There's Tempai for Anthony. 4-7 so. Why is there hesitation on the 2-mon here? Does it? Well, I guess it's Dora adjacent, sort of. Like it's.
Yeah.
But the.
I think it's also just deciding whether or not this hand is worth reaching. Because if you draw Dora, you do not want to drop it against what Shu is showing here.
There are very few hands that are worth reaching with 12 tiles left, in my opinion.
This is Fu-riday, so we will not switch the Shabo. We'll just keep the Kanton shape.
Well, how
Tossing the
about
safe 2-pin.
waiting? Actually, can you reach with less than 4 tiles in Armal?
I don't believe so.
5-pin, 8-pin, the wait now for Matthew.
Oh no, this is not a good draw.
thing. Oh, I mean,
But 7-pin's fine.
that deals with the Dama.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be
Pinfu.
50-10 if you dropped the 7-pins. So
I mean, for a 10 with one draw left doesn't matter.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're never drawing again, so you might as well play the safest tile that you have.
Yeah,
But
kind
that's
of
also
hoping
not
that
natural to think about.
The 7-pin comes out and you actually get to win your 12,000 points. The optimism does not pay out in this case.
Yeah. Should have just foreseen taking the Fu-riday and just.
So it's funny, before the 4-mon was drawn, like, is there a way that you could greed that by cutting the 7-pin, going back a Shanten, and then drawing the 2-5 back, fixing the Fu-riday? It's not the correct play, but it actually would have worked in this instance.
I guess if you never dropped that 5-pin in the first place, there probably should have been a sumo. But I don't know.
Lou's spent a long time thinking about this kind of interesting situation she's in. She's got 2 complete shapes and 2 Ryeonmen, but no 5th block.
Oh.
And now is rewarded with the 5-mon pair, but was choosing between which of the floating tiles in her hand to cut, and ended up cutting the 4-so instead of the Chun, which I think is something kind of peculiar to Akanashi.
Just Ishanten now. Luce has a very important goal, making it over 30,000 to make sure that there's a positive score at the end of the game.
Oh God, this is South 4.
Yeah, and could I it would be a penchant, but could have had a potential Sanjiku there for loose. But I wonder if they do take like a Dama Pinfu. It's like they do need points, but
yeah, there's a reason this 8-mon is being held, and it's in case you do redraw into the Sanjiku, I believe.
And now we have the 4-mon, 7-mon, and this really hurts Shu. Shu didn't cut the 7-mon earlier, and if Shu had cut the 7-mon, it would have been cheed. And then Matthew would have been Tempai then, but now you're forced to deal in. You're in last.
Well,
you're
You
going to
can
be
work around
pushing.
it.
You can.
foresee. Actually, it's kind of hard to foresee the 3-sided with the Amon pawn, so it's a matter of time.
As long as you don't draw a Dora or a Dora adjacent tile.
Unless
Oh, what a draw! That's what you needed. You needed the Shanpon, and I think you needed Torichi as well. But that's just a personal evaluation. That doesn't really mean anything. Now we have 1-mon, 4-mon wait for loose as well. That was a perfect chance to Katagiri Ricci from Shu, but doesn't take it.
I think it's just Ricci Nomi. There's no value here. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
just save
yeah,
1,000
that's
points instead.
yeah.
I mean, but when are you ever going to get value out of that hand? Or are you just hope
Oh,
like
you draw the Sanzo.
Well, I mean, you
Ricci
could
Patsusumo
Ricci.
Pinfu Dora.
Well, it doesn't matter. The hand's over.
Yeah, so
I think there's an argument to be made for reaching and then just like hoping it goes to Ryokokyu with dealer Tempai. But I guess dealer's so far ahead, they'll just leave Tempai before they do that. Luce did end up getting the 2,000 to get above 30K, which is exactly what she wanted because you were never going to catch Matthew. And that's actually going to be enough to pull Luce out of the demotion zone.
that's 6 points. It will do it. Passing both Korak and Shu.
And Shu, unfortunately, now dropping squarely into 17th, which is unfortunate. But I mean, there was a lot of bad luck for Shu there as well. We saw.
Yeah, Matthew really dominating in this game. Plus 35.9 puts him all the way up into 4th place. and in contention for top spot overall in A1.
Oh yeah, you really like holding top spot isn't really the most important right now. Like all that matters is being within say 50 points when you get into session 6. If you're close getting into session 6, you can make a play for it. If you're at the top, you have the added anxiety of having to keep it, and that's too much. No one wants that. Sorry, Joe. That it just hurts. It just hurts your heart having to play that way. And then Loose, of course, giving the kind of solid performance that we've expected. Loose, a lot like a couple of players at the last table, almost entirely seconds here. Has taken a couple of unfortunate fourths, but those 5 seconds kind of helping her through.
Well, for Luce, it's that one season where every game was a first place, no matter what. If it wasn't a first place, it was like a 50,000 point second place. Easily won the division that season. Since then, has had the flow on the opposite end, and sort of it's been a battle of just avoiding the demotion zone, and it's still far too early to think about demotion. Luce has been doing a good job of handling some bad luck for the past couple of seasons, and hanging in there. And maybe 5 second places is an indication that things are moving on the upswing again towards first places.
You're a lot more positive than me, and also I think Korak, who just commented in the chat saying that it's too early to think about demotions. I never stop thinking about demotion. I could be at plus 150 going into session 6, and I'm like, God, I could if I take 4 fourths here, I will demote. I can't. This is bad.
Don't worry, I'm in 6th
Oh,
place here at plus
you're not gonna take
36,
4/4.
and I'm like, if I have one bad session, I'm right down there at the demotion line. But that's not a realistic concern just yet. I don't say it's not realistic because I don't think I'm not going to have a bad session. It's entirely likely I could have a terrible session and drop down there. I'm actually a little concerned that my first sessions have had very good flow but haven't capitalized on it as well as I should have. And so I feel like I should have a bigger buffer now. So if I do demote, that's going to be the reason why. But
If there's one thing as a math person that I would really like to impress upon Mahjong players, and maybe myself as much as anybody else, is that I think the most important thing to know about as a Mahjong player is the gambler's fallacy. Probability is not affected by past results. It's not. I get you could make an argument that there's a very, very, very tiny amount. We've talked about Mahjong being a psychological game here. So
right.
like the psychology affects how you play, but the tiles are completely unaffected by how you feel. So you've gotta let go. I will say the worst at this. I'm very bad, but like you gotta let go of the thought that, if you're playing bad, things will continue to go bad. If things went well, they will not continue to go well. Because probability doesn't give a damn. It'll just go however it wants.
yeah, I describe my psychology about not just this game, but a lot of things to be cautiously pessimistic. Yeah, I do have that bit of that. I'm probably not gonna get this tile. I'll have to go
I feel
for
like-
it, but it's probably not gonna happen. That's okay.
I think cautiously pessimistic just means you're a tsundere, Nathaniel. I think that's what that translates to.
That
That's what I think every time I throw the Dora tile immediately.
oh
If you're throwing it immediately, Dustin, there's no caution to it. Get out of here. Listen, you don't get to be a part of the caution
Well,
conversation.
hang on a
But
second.
what
It's
if
like-
someone who could pass me just has it paired up
it's like a
immediately?
very, very early Sakigiri. That's all it is. But yeah, the ultimate defense against that is just to hold it in your hand forever and fold.
Yeah, that's what I should have done. So, I don't think it probably happened in normal some point, but I was like in a IRL game. This person needs to buy one to pass me. There's no way, but I gave them the Dora pod, and then they just rinshoned, and it was like half flush, and it just somehow added up to buy one.
This has been. It looks like a longer stream than it was because there was a break between the A2 matches and the A1. But we watched 3 Hanchan today, and the longest one that we watched was 34 minutes.
That's shorter than average. I feel like most games are 40 to 45.
Yeah, I mean, these were all blazingly quick. We had one Ryokyokyu is what made this game last just, it felt like a little bit longer. But there has not, we went one repeat in the first Hanchan watch, two repeats in the second, one repeat in the third. And very few exhaustive draws altogether. I mean, we only saw 4 exhaustive draws across 3 Hanchan today, which, especially in the top divisions, is rare. I feel like exhaustive draws happen a lot more frequently as you move up the ranks because people aren't just pushing kind of everything.
Well, the secret to avoiding Ryukyoku is to just sumo, but in this game it feels like there were a lot more direct hits than usual.
There were 3 consecutive sumos in the middle of the game. The
Okay.
direct hits all came at the end.
Yeah, that was
I
Matthew.
I have the game results pulled up right here. I don't know if that's obvious, but that's what I'm looking at currently.
Matthew pulling back-to-back sumos to really pull ahead there. And yeah, looks like A1 is almost complete. We saw A2 finish up earlier. We have one more series yet to be played. They will be playing on Sunday and Monday, and we might be broadcasting those Sunday games. I
Yeah,
believe.
those will be fun ones. Jonathan, Alfred, Andre, and then Sylvie as a sub. Sylvie, who, if they were an American citizen, would very much be one of those people who could belong pretty easily in A1. So that'll be a fun series to watch.
Absolutely. That will be 2 p.m. Pacific Sunday, but I believe actually that perhaps the early games will be covered as well. So noon Pacific time is when I believe Stanley is planning to start the stream. It'll be a C1 table, and then we'll swap over to a couple games from the A1 table. That's going to be a good day of Mahjong. So absolutely, go ahead and put that on your calendars. It's going to be a fun one to watch, as was today. Today was very exciting. Thank you, Dustin, for hopping and providing some commentary after your games.
Yeah,
So-
anytime.
Of course, if you want to be sure to know when we go live on Sunday, you can follow us on Twitch and be alerted when we go live. You can also make sure to check our Twitter page, American Ricci. If you'd like to be a part of the league in the upcoming fall season, you can register on the website americanricci.org. You can also register for the International Online Ricci Mahjong competition. That is, there's a link to that on the website as well. And finally, if you'd like to watch any of our previous broadcasts, those are all available on our YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/ARMLYT. Any final thoughts, Tucker, to close us out?
My final thought, my final thought, I can't. I'm not equipped for this. Listen, if you're playing Mahjong, you've already thrown everything else to the wind. Embrace the absurdity of all that is.
Thanks for that, Tucker, and look forward to seeing everybody in the next broadcast. Have a good one, everybody.